The Loveland Frogman on the Cryptid Chronicles by the Gathering Paracast.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Gathering Paracast. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Heidi.
And I'm Trost.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, and tonight is the launch of our new third Wednesday of the month series called Cryptid Chronicles. So we're excited for this because we love cryptids, crazy about cryptids. And I think it's going to be fun. So it's going to be loose. It's going to be loose like our paranormal smorgasbord. So if anybody has any ideas or wants to write them in the chat about what they know about something, please do, because it's, like we said, loose. And I brought Baby Yoda along tonight, Grogu, because although he may not be a cryptid, he does have a new movie coming out this weekend. So here we go. Here's the cute little guy himself.
Like you were saying before the show, he looks like a cryptid.
He does. He does. Yes, he's adorable, right? I love Baby Yoda. He's like my babe. So anyway, and this Baby Yoda has traveled all around with us. We take him out to the island. We've had pictures of him by the lighthouses. It's just kind of a fun thing we do. So he's had a lot of
your mascot then.
He is, yeah. He's had a lot of trips on the plane in our backpack.
Well, he's kind of compact too.
He is, yes. He's very small. So anyway, welcome everybody. And tonight we can talk about many things, but Jason has something special that he wants to talk about, which is interesting. And I didn't know a lot about this subject.
I didn't either.
So Trost, take it away, honey.
All right. The Loveland Frogman, I just heard about it about a few years ago. And a buddy from Ohio, we were kind of comparing, who's got the best stuff, and of course Pennsylvania wins every time, at least in my book. And he said, well, have you ever heard of the Loveland Frogman? I'm like, oh, I'll look it up. And I checked it out. It's really cool. There's three distinct sightings. And it's I kind of forgot about it, when you'd see some things about it. And then I saw that there was a Frogman festival and it's in March. And I was like, oh, well, that's pretty cool too. But then just a couple of weeks ago when we were, gathering around the table and deciding what to do with the Cryptid Chronicles, it was in the news all over the place that Ohio had a bill before or in the Senate making the Loveland Frogman the official cryptid of Ohio. So he's getting some recognition. And I thought, well, that's I've got to check this out. And so I dug deeper and I thought, well, this is just great for, the Cryptid Chronicles, launching that, and like so many of the other cryptids, once you get away from, Bigfoot, the sightings and the evidence gets awful murky and is mostly all usually based on eyewitness accounts. And the Loveland Frogman, he started out with the first one was the first recorded sighting was in 1955. And I'm going to play our intro again because it shows what the witness described. He was a businessman named Honeycutt. And he was driving down the road. It was Hopewell Road, I believe. And he came across the Loveland Bridge, and he came across these three Frogman-like things that were crouched by the side of the road. And one of them he describes has like a wand in its hand with these like a sparkler type thing. So I'm going to play that again just to check. Ooh. This is what it was.
The Loveland Frogman on the Cryptid Chronicles by the Gathering Paracast.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So Honeycutt comes across these and he sees these things out there and he gets out of his car and approaches and he gets a little ways and they all kind of have this standoff and eventually he says, and he gets in his car and he goes to the sheriff, and he gets the sheriff, and they takes the sheriff out there, and he doesn't have any real, there's nothing. They don't see anything. There's no evidence really, and so, but it kind of went public there, like he wasn't, he went to the police, and you have a police report and stuff, you basically have an investigation. And they didn't find anything, and it was kind of dormant really until the early 70s. And in the 1972, a local policeman was going down the road, and he encountered something, and he wasn't sure what it was. But he said it was like an amphibian type thing. And that's a recreation that somebody made. And he seen it, and he said it leaped over the guardrail, and off it went. And that's pretty interesting. Whoa. Oh, there we go. Let's remove and go back to here. So, and then a week later, another policeman comes across some kind of like iguana type thing. He calls it like a tailless iguana, and he actually shoots at it. And it goes off and into the swamps, and like he shoots at it. And he files a report about that. And so here you go, in 1972, you have these two that are about, a week apart. And that's kind of in it. And then it kind of, fades a little bit. And then it started picking up again in 2016. And some people out catching Pokemon Go, they had their phones and they were doing Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
And that is supposedly where this sighting comes from. And that's the one that most people think of as the Loveland Frogman. And you got that
glowing eyes.
Is that real? Is that photo like someone says it's real?
Yes.
Okay.
They do say it's real. Yeah. And there's lots of debunking, lots of detracting, and if I recall, they even gave their name. It wasn't like an anonymous thing. Like we saw this and blah blah blah. And they were Pokemon going, so they had their phone and they took that, and so we got that's a really, that one I really like there with the big glowing eyes.
Yeah,
and stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's really cool. And so you've got quite a little legend building up there, and I think that was actually at that Loveland Bridge too, that same one that that Honeycutt had the so you're starting to kind of build that this general area there has some kind of something going on.
Well, I think it's interesting too, because while the sightings are spaced pretty far apart, I mean, there's 30 to 40 years, 20 to 40 years, right, between them. But they all seem pretty credible. I mean, the police were involved with 3 of them, and if the guy on the bridge went and got the police, I mean, first of all, he's pretty sure of himself that he saw something that at least freaked him out enough to get the police. And then at the police station, they didn't calm him down because he was drunk or whatever. I mean, they thought he was also credible and went out with him. So something was saying, hey, we got to check this out. And then 2 more police officers are involved in something very similar 20 plus years later. And I mean, how interesting that, I mean, all of it sounds pretty credible,
There's a lot of credibility there. You've got police reports, multiple police reports. You've got people giving their names rather than, so many things that we see are anonymous or my friend found, there's like,
that is cool.
There's a credibility there. And I don't know if you guys have up there, but we have what we call hellbenders, and they're big salamanders that you find in the creek, and they're big beefy salamanders, and they kind of look prehistoric in a lot of ways.
No, we don't.
And most of the time, and these are like 10 inches long sometimes, and kind of girthy, maybe 2 or 3 inches across, and they got a really big, wide mouth, and they're kind of creepy in that they're like all mouth. Some people call them mud puppies around here too.
Oh,
Yeah. And
Lord.
there's also around here there's
it.
the Susquehanna River, which is out east of here, and they had a thing that called the Susquehanna seal, which was something like that was like leathery in appearance, or and so me and my friend Tommy Sheehan, he's a big researcher on that, on water stuff, and especially that Susquehanna seal, because that's like his backyard over there, and these leathery things. So we've often theorized that maybe there was at one point, especially back 100 200 years ago, there was very large hellbenders, salamanders, and I kind of, this is what they look like. Let me show you that.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're so cute.
Yeah, you look at that big one.
Not in person though. Goodness.
Oh,
I wouldn't want to run into it in the wild. Let's just say that.
Oh, they are adorable.
If you make that,
when I was a kid.
I love salamanders, especially the red ones.
I do too.
Mm-hmm.
They're great energetically. Like their spirit energy is really good. I just don't want to run into one of those in the wild.
No.
And
so
especially
cool.
one that's like
They're
4
cool.
foot even.
Yeah, no, thank you. And can stand up on its hind legs. Like, no.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, come on.
Okay. So Steph, here's what, in answer to what you're saying right now, Joe in the chat room is saying, will Steph want to swim with it when we're talking about Frogman? I will say yes. Steph will swim with anything after a conversation around mermaids that could pull you down to your death. And Steph's like, I'll do it.
Yes.
You're nuts.
Okay.
I think she would.
Okay. So we're talking about mermaids. So, the one that
Frogman.
told us about the mermaid up in Big Rainy was Alan. Mm-hmm. Now, we met with Alan this weekend because he was in town, and we have our big expedition coming up this summer, and so exciting. But one of the things I said to him was, what about the mermaid, Alan? Where is this mermaid? Oh yeah, the mermaid. He said there, and I'm like, you're going to take us there, right? So you never know. I just might get in the water and see what happens.
Good luck. So yeah, she'd swim with the Frogman. She'd swim with whatever that thing is that you just showed.
The hellbender.
Yeah.
The hellbender.
Yes. Yes.
Can you imagine if that mouth got wrapped around your foot, Steph?
And it wouldn't have to be very big to have a really big mouth either.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
But
like,
would they do it with a human though? I mean, it's like people are
maybe
afraid of orcas.
Maybe his foot looks like a fish.
Listen, they say people are afraid of orcas too, and orcas have never hurt a human. So it doesn't make sense.
I'm not saying they would. I'm just saying would brush up against you.
Yeah. Well,
gnaw on your foot a little bit on accident and then go, oops, sorry, that wasn't.
I've been bit by fish here in Minnesota in the lake. So
the water.
It's just no big deal. You just don't go swimming around sunset because that's when they all come out.
I worry about snapping turtles around here.
Oh yeah, we have a lot of those.
If we have mud, it makes me a little nervous about snapping turtles in my toes.
Oh gosh. In fact, a couple of years ago, we always help them across the road just because that's who we are. And there was a big one. Oh my gosh, she must have been about 50 years old, and she must have weighed 50 pounds. And Casey and I were there, and I'm like, Casey, we got to turn her the other way. So she's going back to the lake. I can't lift her. You're going to have to do it. So she did. And she picked her up and she turned her around. And just as she put her down, that head snapped back and Casey's finger almost got taken off with her. I'm telling you, she got it. And she said, I'm never doing that again, Mom. And I'm like, but she saved her. And she was like, I don't know. She was like this big. She was ginormous. So grateful. I mean, she felt good that she saved her. But yeah, it was like just the minute she put her down, that head, they moved so fast. And that head just came around and just like that. She just barely got her hand out of the way. So
yes, that is a very strong jaw.
Yes. Oh, for sure. It could snap your finger right off, if not your whole hand,
It said you should move turtles in the direction there. Sorry, that's interesting there. So you're not supposed to turn them around?
I'm guessing that they were going somewhere on purpose.
Well, so she was kind of on the side. She was in the road, but not really going across the road. You know what I mean? She was just kind of And
so you don't know
it was
what way
a busy
she was
time of
going.
day. Yeah, it was a busy time of day. And I'm like, we gotta. And then she had kind of walked up towards the lake anyhow, but she was facing not towards the street, but the other way. And I'm like, we got to turn around so she knows which way to go. Like she knows the way anyway. But anyway, we did.
Here, I got to get back to this frog thing because it's weird. It's cool. I mean, I haven't heard of it. So when you brought it up for the show, I was like, what? Frog cryptid. Unusual. And so I did some research, and really there isn't anything else out there for a frog creature like this for cryptid. So it's interesting that there's just this one place with multiple sightings. That is interesting to me. And Joe brings up a good point in the chat room too about having the relation with the bridge, like that first one, that 1955 sighting or whatever it was, where he found him on the bridge. And we know that there's a lot of cryptids that hang out around bridges, you know, like the Poplar trestle, stuff like that. Sure. So anyway, I think that's interesting too. But how weird, I mean, cryptids are weird anyway, which is fine. That's great. Oh, but how weird that there isn't, it's not like Bigfoot where you can go to any state probably and have some kind of reportings of a Bigfoot sighting. And this is really specific to this area of
Loveland.
Ohio.
Yeah. And what's interesting though, I think is Bigfoot is so big in Ohio. It's amazing that they would choose the Loveland frog over Bigfoot. Right.
That's the only place that it's seen. So I can understand that because that's like theirs.
It's bizarre because it's like, I don't know, the Bigfoot capital of the East Coast, right? I mean,
Whoa. I was thinking Western Pennsylvania.
But, okay, yeah, well, maybe that too in Cryptovania.
Those are fighting words.
Yep. That's starting to puff up a little.
But so frog people have been throughout the history, right? They've been associated with transformation and rebirth due to their life cycle. They've been, the frog prince, kind of the same thing. And they're kind of considered a bridge between the worlds, between water and land, animal and human, the mundane and magical. So it's quite amazing, all these things that go on with these frog creatures. But then at the same time, in ancient Egypt, there was a goddess who was the goddess of fertility and childbirth named, we're trying to figure this out, but we thought Hecate? Is that Hecate? Something. So like that. I mean, they've been throughout history, right? So it's something maybe there's only one place in the US where they might be found, and that's in Loveland, Ohio. But interesting. It's interesting how many different things that they come up with what they think about, transformation, childbirth, fertility, frog prince. I mean, so here's the thing. Maybe this is why people say if you see a frog, pick it up and kiss him, and maybe he may become
maybe.
Do you also could do that, Steph?
I have out at the lake. The boys and I found my nephews. Actually, I think it might have been a toad, and of course they dared me to do it, and of course I did, but he didn't turn into a toad, and I was okay. So
they didn't have to double dog dare you, right?
No,
just a simple dare. Woo.
No, and Sneppy, just do it, and so I did it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's also interesting too about this, the frogs at the bridge, right? Holding that, basically a sparkler. It sounds like, right?
Yeah,
something that was,
or a Roman candle or something.
Yeah, I mean, but how interesting too when you think of, if you go back to, and I don't think a ton of fairy tales have frogs in them, but some do, and like we're talking about, and so you wonder, as I think about many fairy tales that are based in some kind of truth, in some kind of like this is how it used to be, that and maybe endowing some kind of these creatures with this energy or these characteristics or whatever, and that's just what it was, and then we turned it into some kind of folklore over the years. So you wonder, is there some kind of nugget of truth with like frogs and magic or whatever? And I'm not saying, I'm not saying there is. I'm just curious, because where, like, did this come from something generations ago that there really was this was a thing. Like, I don't know. So it's cool to think about it and have this be. I'm so
I love it.
stunned that it's just one
love it.
place. One
I love it.
place.
Yeah, you don't find like swampy, like other lagoony areas and swampy
No.
areas with there's
Never.
not the Mississippi frogman, or
Never heard of it in Minnesota either. You know,
Right.
Minnesota is just basically a big swamp. You
got a
know,
lot
with
of
a few
frogs.
little higher. You know, there's a lot
Yeah.
of frogs up here. You know, so I've never heard of the frogman though.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then to have so many spaced out sightings that have the air of legitimacy to them, you
Yes.
know,
Right.
you know,
yes,
and as researchers, that's what we're always looking for with
Absolutely.
like witness
Right.
things, is like ways
absolutely.
to correspond them like that. And
Yeah.
police reports are usually given a very elevated status, you know.
Oh,
I
for
mean,
sure.
you
Oh, for
know.
sure. Yeah. So, well, fun. This was
Mhm.
really fun stuff. I
Mhm.
gotta say, are there any other comments or questions we need to ask? Not that we're,
It was actually it was kind of busy in there.
I know, I know. It's
Jen-
fun.
Not
Everybody's
any
having a good
questions.
time.
But if
Yeah.
anybody has a cryptid that you want us to do
Yeah.
for the show, and if you know someone too that might have some information around a cryptid that wants to be on the show, let us know, because
Yeah.
we're going to do this the third Wednesday of every
Yeah.
month. It's the Cryptid Chronicles. So we'll focus on one or more cryptids depending on what you guys come to us with.
Oh, for sure.
So please, if you have something you
For
want us to research, or you know someone that wants to talk about a cryptid,
Yeah.
let us know.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And it's fun. And mermaids, of course, are one of my favorite ones. So
Yeah.
you never know. I might just dive in up there and see if I can find that mermaid.
Mm.
Apparently there's a lot of mermaids. There's a lot of mermaids and mer people reported up there. I was digging into it on the internet a little bit. But yeah, it's going to be a really fun 4 or 5 days or however we're going to be up there. But yeah, Alan has some pretty wild things he wants us to do. So we're all for it.
And Alan's always so very good natured too.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
he is beyond excited. And, you know, he said nobody's ever come. We don't, you know, they just don't have people come up there. So we are very honored and very excited to be invited to come up there. And he and, that we're hosted by Alan. We're going to stay with them and we'll probably be tenting it quite a bit of the time. So that'll be interesting in and of itself. But yeah, and he has this island he's going to put us on overnight. And he said people scream and get off there and have to get out of there in the middle of the night. I said, well, we're all investigators, so we'll be okay. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, it's in such a remote part, you know, it's just, it's really exciting. It's really fun. And there's going to be 6 of us going. So there's quite a few of us, you know, so.
Oh, there's going to be 6 of you going.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
The squad.
Yes. The squad. Yes. 3
Nice.
of our sim crew girls are coming with us, and 3 of our 3 cryptid chicks, and they're cryptid chicks now too because we're all under the same umbrella. But yeah, we're all going. It's going to be super fun. 2 of them are super young. 2 of them are not yet 30. So I just laugh. I think, oh, you guys, you know, they just pack a punch when you're with them, you know, because they're just so young, you know.
Uh-huh.
They're just so fun, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it'll be a riot. So, but anyway, so you never know about the mermaid. But I would love to do a show on mermaids. So
I'm curious because I've never really done much. I've never looked at much into that.
Well,
it's hard. We know it's hard to find people that are mermaid experts. We had someone on the show a while back, and it was interesting.
It was.
Oh yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah. But you know, there was that whole fake documentary that was out. I don't know, a dozen years ago, which was
pretty
really
convincing.
Cool.
It
was.
A lot of people thought it was real.
Yeah, it was a Discovery Channel show, and I don't remember what the name of it was now.
And you probably got to be kind of careful that it seems like an easy subject that might take a left turn into the erotic too.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I suppose.
Especially when you get into the the depictions of said mermaids.
Yes.
You know, they might get a little affectionate.
Another
Not that kind
one.
of show, kids.
So
Right,
another interesting one is silkies, which is really cool. The seals that turn into humans, and then they are here until somehow they can get back to the water. There's all kinds of stuff we need to talk
I've
about.
never heard of that one.
Oh yes, that's a really good one.
Because that's also a breed of chicken, silkies. They have the
Is
hair
it?
that comes
Yeah,
over
there
them.
is.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Awesome.
interesting. That's
Awesome.
interesting.
I
I
love
wonder, the Susquehanna seal, I wonder if there's any kind of
I saw it. Yes. I don't
that's
know.
interesting.
I think we need to
Interesting.
look into it for sure.
Yeah.
But
I'll have to
there's
ask
all
my
these-
friend Tommy Sheehan.
Yes, for sure. Oh my gosh. Well, I think this was a really fun first Cryptid Chronicles, you guys. So, hey, here's to the new show. I love it.
We might have our first request.
Yes. What is it?
Unicorns.
Oh, unicorns. Well, okay.
Maybe.
That would
Maybe.
qualify. I say that's a cryptid.
We'll see what we can find.
Good suggestion. Let's do
Yes.
unicorns
Yes.
at some point here.
Mhm.
For sure. Well, very cool. And everybody from Grogu and I go see his new show this
Oh my
weekend.
God. We're not getting paid for this. Just saying.
Anyway. Oh, yes.
We're not getting paid.
I can't wait. He'll be flying around. Anyway.
Do you pay an extra ticket for that one?
Bring Grogu?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah, but he's little. Just
He is little. He is little. Yeah, no, it'll be fun. I can't wait to see it, honestly. So, all right. Well, everyone, thanks for watching and tune in next week. And thank you to all the troops out there who may be watching or listening. And please be safe out there. And thank you for your service.
And everybody in the chat room, thanks for your comments, your questions, and tuning in. And everybody, wherever you are, thanks for tuning in. And we appreciate Cryptovania TV for hosting the Gathering Paracast. And Jason Trost, our producer, thank you so much for pulling everything together again. It's always amazing. And we're going to have a guest on next week. So tune in and we will see you then.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good
And
night,
thank you.
everyone. Bye-bye.
The Cryptid Chronicles by the Gathering Paracast. The Loveland Frogman. Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Join us for the legend